Okay, we're back.
We have no idea what the fuck this is. We got a great connection. It's just something, we don't know what it is. Software problem.
I don't know what it is. It could be a million things, and I feel like I've checked everything that I know to check, and I don't know. It's just, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
That's got to be a record on shutdown time, right? Usually it's like we get up to like the 2-hour mark, and then it'll start to do it, but it's like we didn't, we got to like 31 minutes, and it just fucking crashed.
Yeah.
And like I said, I haven't used this computer today. I restarted a bunch of times. I updated everything. I did everything I was supposed to do. And, still does it. Shit happens. Shit happens. Frugal videographer. That's actually a good idea. Check, see what time your virus scanner kicks in. That will slow you down. Okay, I'll have to look into that. It might be that. I think it does it at 4 a.m., but I'm not entirely sure of that. I mean, could be. Because I have it on some of the other computers, and maybe I'm thinking of that.
What the hell's happening up there?
Is that a truck?
It sounds like a truck or a goddamn airplane.
I think it's a truck. It's a truck or somebody's really, really loud stereo. Even Pookie ran to see what was going on. I told him I kept having a nightmare. This woke me up this morning. I had like a nightmare about, not really a nightmare, but I had a really weird dream about Pookie where I had to leave her with some relatives to go do something with some other relatives. And then
wasn't even here. It's like out in this back road.
Well, yeah, it's probably on
I don't know what it is.
Markham Road or whatever that road is right there. It's probably on there. But yeah, so I dreamed that I had to leave Pookie with a relative, and like I had to go do some other shit with some other relatives, and then I was like, this one relative that I left her with was kind of like, hey, I have to go do this other shit, and I like left it with this other, and then I was kind of like, well, shit, I can't leave her I gotta get back home and like take care of Pookie. And then I told him too that I was like, I had this dream one time that we were out in the woods walking with Pookie, and then all of a sudden there were 2 Pookies. And he said, you probably dreamed that because of Mirror Pookie.
Yeah.
How she jumps up and talks to her reflection in the mirror. And we say, oh, that's evil Mirror Universe Pookie on the other side of there. Maybe that's why. She does that pretty much every night now. Like I said, I really wish I could get some fucking video of it.
Okay, most of the people are back.
Yay!
T looks like T hasn't made it back yet. But, we were talking about the Omen.
Yeah.
It was... They were better than I remembered them, especially the third one.
They were.
That's what I'm taking away from it. The second one was still pretty good. It was the weakest out of the 2, but it was still good. I'm gonna put them all up. Every single one of them, I kind of thought was on par with The Exorcist. Even though The Exorcist is a classic, I think they were as good as The Exorcist.
Yeah, and it's weird because the trilogy has an almost Exorcist-like thing where like the first one's brilliant.
Yeah.
The second one,
it's okay. Yeah.
I mean, well, I will say Omen 2 is way, way better than Exorcist.
Yeah, a lot better than Exorcist 2. Yeah.
And then third one, pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as good as the first one, but still pretty fucking good. And I mean, Sam Neill was really, really good as like grown-up Damien.
I could have taken the third one to a new level though.
You think?
And that was an expensive movie. It looked expensive. It
definitely did look expensive, yeah.
I think if they'd spent a little bit more, and like I said, got a devil scene in there, had gotten that scene. They didn't really, when he was in bed with his girlfriend, he started to get fucking sadistic and shit, and they really didn't quite get into the details of what had happened. I think I'd have gotten a little bit more into details of what he did to her. She was all bitten up the next morning.
You gotta use your imagination.
And she found him in the damn Temple of Satan, dude.
The Fortress of Satan.
Yeah. She walked up to him, and I thought she was going to kick him in the fucking face, man. And she didn't.
She could have. He was laying right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said, too, because he found him, because he's all naked and sleeping up in the attic or wherever. And he's like, wouldn't it be funny if she just started kicking the shit out of him?
Yeah. It would have been more realistic.
I was like, yeah, that's what I would have done.
Because he did something to her, something bad to her.
I mean, unless she's like one of those people that's into it. It's like a whole 50 Shades of Grey thing.
Well, that's what was happening. I don't think she was into it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But she just kept saying, it's like, yeah, you want to see who I really am? Yeah. I'm this asshole that beats the crap out of you.
What could she do, though? He was like a billionaire and a fucking ambassador to England.
And the devil's son.
And the devil's son.
With magic powers.
Yeah, if you crossed him, he killed you. Or
kind of hard to fight against.
He didn't kill you. The minions of Satan killed you.
And made it look like an accident.
Yeah. You couldn't get in trouble.
Zach just asked, what is the weirdest non-nightmare you've ever had? The weirdest
thing. Man, go ahead and rethink that sentence and ask it again.
No, a dream you've had that's really weird, but that's not a nightmare.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty clear.
Me biting the head off of Yosemite Sam.
Oh, that's right. I remember you telling that one.
And it being a cherry Pop-Tart. From fucking...
He was made of a cherry Pop-Tart.
Cherry Pop-Tart from McDonald's.
That is pretty weird.
Yeah, I was a kid, though.
Most of the dreams that I've had that are really weird were kind of nightmares, and I think all the weird ones I turned them into stories. Yeah. Because I remember I think I've told that before, like about that one dream that I had where I was like in a frat house, or it wasn't a frat house, or like an apartment building or something. And I was like down it was dark, and I was down in the lobby, and there was a kitchen, and I was in the kitchen like making tea or some washing dishes or some shit like that. And there was like a girl that was in there, and it was dark for whatever reason, but there was like all these sirens. Like you could see the red and blue like flickering through the windows. And then like there was a party across the street, which I think was a frat house. I used to live across from a frat house, so was probably why I was thinking that. And so then like this dude comes in with his girlfriend, and they start making out on the floor, and then he pulls her legs up like that and pulls her feet off.
Dang.
And it was like it wasn't bloody or anything. It was just like he went like that. And I remember in the dream, I thought to myself, because I'm standing there in the kitchen watching them because I thought that they didn't see me, and I was like frozen to the spot. And then I was like, oh my God, he's going to pull her feet off. And then kadoink, they just came off, and then he dropped him on the floor. And I remember the sound that it made. And then it was just like, it was just really, really weird. And then the guy like turned on me, and I was like, oh shit, he sees me. And then I tried to stab him because I was washing dishes and I had a butter knife in my hand, but obviously that wasn't super effective.
When I was a little kid out in California, I lived on 2524 Jackson Street. And Jackson Street, I could look up it in Carson, California. I could look up the street, the very end of the road, I could see my elementary school. It was called Dominguez Elementary. All right. And I used to go out and play in the street, and I'd look way up the road and see my school, you know. It seemed like it was a million miles away. It was only like 3 or 4 blocks away, but I could see it. I had a dream. I was looking at the school, and I saw something moving in the distance at the very end, and it was coming towards me. It was a ball, a big ball. You know this big old, it was like about the size of a beach ball, and they were purplish, and we used to throw them at each other.
Is this kind of like The Prisoner? Like that weird TV show?
What was the name of that damn ball that we used to have?
I don't know. It's like a big...
It's like a purple ball, like a dodgeball. Used to throw it at each other. It couldn't hurt you. It would just bounce off you, right? I saw this thing bouncing towards me, and as it got closer and closer, it's just kind of frozen in fear. And on it was a gigantic fucking face. An angry face with a mouth and eyes and shit.
Yikes.
Yeah. And that pretty fucking scared me. And it was weird because like years later, a video game came out, a stand-up video game called Berserker. And you'd be fighting these robots, and this bouncing ball with a face on it was part. And when I first saw that shit, I was just like, damn, that's what I had a nightmare that long time when I was a kid. It was years later. Yeah.
I remember having a dream too when I was younger that I was on a ride. It was kind of like one of those rides, like the old ones at Disney World, like the Snow White ones or whatever. But it was more like the Peter Pan one, which I haven't been on in a long time. And I dreamed that, I don't know, I don't remember if I was on foot or in a car, but I go in this one room, and it was like black on the floor, and it was all black walls and black ceiling. And then on the floor were alligators, but they were made of Legos, kind of. Or, they kind of look like Legos, but you could only see like their top jaw and their eyes. And they were like all over the floor. And I was really scared because I thought they'd eat me. So then I, for some reason in my pocket, had this little patch of it looked like one of those big Band-Aids, except then it had like fur all over it. Yeah. And for some reason I could put this down on the floor and stand on it, even though it was smaller than my feet, and I could fly. Yeah. So it was like a magic carpet, but it looked like a furry big Band-Aid.
Sheila Ann identified that ball I was talking about as a playground ball. As we used to have those on the playground.
Yeah.
And you could bounce a hell out of them. They'd bounce real high.
Yeah, I remember those.
And they made a lot of noise. Boing, boing, when they hit. It's pretty cool. I remember those balls. We used to love
I remember those balls.
we used to throw them. Boing. I got attacked by one of those. It had a big old face on it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach asked me if I'd seen Possession. You know what? I saw it, but it was a really long time ago. And I've actually been wanting to watch it again because I was so young when I saw it. I was just like a teenager, and that was like ages ago. So one of these days I'll see it again. Because I wanted to do a retrospective on it as well. Because that also has Sam Neill in it. And Isabella Johnny, who was in the Nosferatu remake. And in The Tenant, now that I'm thinking about it. Yep. Which is another movie that Hulu just added. Didn't they? The Tenant. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I don't know. Obviously, nothing's going to be as good as the first one. I've seen the first one a zillion times. The first one, David Warner getting beheaded used to scare the shit out of me when I was a little kid. Well, it's anything that had beheading in it scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid. I don't know why. I had a thing about... But I was scared of it, but I was also, like, fascinated by it. I remember when I was little, and I read about... was it Mary Queen of Scots? And she got beheaded... And they didn't do her right the first time. Like, they put her head on the block, like she comes out in the red dress or whatever. And they put her head on the block, and then the executioner has the axe, because they didn't use a guillotine. And he kind of went like that, and he missed, and it didn't kill her. Like, it still hit her, but it didn't cut her head off. And so she was, like, still alive, and then he had to kind of keep hacking. And then when he picked the head up, like, I think her wig came off, and then, like, her head just went, like, bouncing. And I was just like, that fucking horrified me when I read about that. Horrified me. Because I'm just sitting there going... Because I've always been fascinated with, if you get your head cut off, how long are you aware that you're not attached to your body anymore?
Oh, there was a big argument.
I know, and I was like, I read about that too. It's like, fucking hell.
During the French Revolution, they were grabbing those heads and looking at them and see if they were awake.
Hey, he's still in there?
Yeah. Very rarely somebody'd open their eyes. If you slapped them, they'd open their eyes and look at you for a second, and then they'd fade out. I think you'd lose consciousness instantly because of blood pressure problems. All the pressure runs out of your head. You know,
yeah, I mean, if you were aware, it would be like a fraction of a second.
It's just like if you ever get thrown off a motorcycle or fucking thrown by a horse or fucking punched, you don't actually feel it. You know?
That's your body
you kind of shake it.
Doing you solid.
You kind of shake it out, and you're like coming up off the ground like, what happened? I think that's what it's like. But you don't ever come back saying, what happened? It's just, you're just go off into oblivion, and then you're in the spirit world. Looking down on yourself.
Going,
oh shit, there's my head and there's my body. Which one is it me? Is it my head or my body? What right does my head have to call itself me?
There we go. Talk about the Tenant again.
Yeah,
that was a nice segue.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And I think that's why the first time I saw the Omen, I was probably, when did that come out? 1976, right?
Yeah.
And so I must have seen it when I was 7 or 8, I want to say, the first time. And it creeped me out, like the whole shit with the nanny hanging herself, that creeped me out. And, but definitely, and Mrs. Baylock was pretty creepy. But the fucking decapitation, oh my god, that stressed me out so much. Every time that scene came on, like, I always kind of wanted to watch it, but I was just kind of like, oh my god, it's like, here it comes.
If you guys haven't seen The Tenant, it's on now. You can see it for free. Where was that on?
I think they just added it on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
It might be some other places too.
Yeah.
I thought it was on Tubi for a while, but I don't know if it's on there anymore.
If you haven't seen The Tenant, you got to see that one. That's
the Roman Polanski.
That's a weird movie.
I really like that one.
They used a lot of samples from that movie in Skinny Puppy songs. Yeah.
I noticed too that when we were watching Omen 3 last night, the shitty commercial that the guy is showing to Damian in their little theater, they sampled that for 1000 Homo DJs, which is, Al Jorgensen from Ministry, their supergroup, their cover of Supernaut. Like, at certain mixes of Supernaut, like at the beginning, they sampled almost all of that commercial, like before the song starts. And I had forgotten that that's where it came from. So when we were like watching it, I was just kind of like, oh my God, I totally forgot that that's where it came from. Because when we watched all the movies, obviously the first one I've seen like a zillion times. The second one, I thought I had seen it because I remember the kid and I remember the military school aspect. But when we watched it, I'm sitting there going, maybe I never saw this, or maybe I never saw the whole thing all the way through, because I said I definitely would have remembered a woman getting attacked by a raven and then run over several times by a semi. And I definitely would have remembered that dude getting cut in half by an elevator cable, and I didn't remember any of that.
The dude getting smashed by the train.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And the guy's being buried in the underground thing, looking at the damn Horror of Babylon statue. That was a good one, too. I remember that when I was a kid. They're sitting there praying, and the damn fucking, all the dirt coming in through the damn ceiling.
See, actually, that whole scene, you know, because the whole reason they went down there was because that one guy was talking to Bugenhagen, and Bugenhagen's like, you gotta come down here and see this fucking shit. Or he told him about it, and the guy's like, fuck you, I don't believe you. And he's like, no, I'll show you. So he was like, oh, you believe me now? Now we're both dead. Good job. But, you know what I mean? So I feel like that guy was like, really, he's like, if you'd have just believed me, we'd just be up there having a cappuccino right now, and we wouldn't even be down here, like, buried under the fucking earth. And they didn't even find him until later. Because I think that the scene at the beginning of part 2, right? That only happens a few days after, what's his face? Like, Gregory Peck gets killed, right? Like, gets shot. We do that now because on Welcome to the Basement, they did the Omen one year for, like, one of their Halloween shows. And they were... they were talking like Gregory Peck the whole time, and that's kind of what they were doing. Just and that is kind of what he sounds like. Yeah. So now every time we see him, it's like. Poor fucking dude.
Tila, remember in Tenet where he'd go in there and go to the. Walked in that one part of the room and he could see people in the room staring at him in the other damn apartment. And eventually he goes over there and it's a fucking room that has all those hieroglyphics written on the inside of it. Doesn't he find a tooth in the wall there?
Oh, that freaked me out so bad.
And it turned out it was his tooth, wasn't it?
No, it was Simone's.
Simone's tooth? Yeah, that's right. That was weird.
That was such a weird movie.
He throws himself out the window and he's all busted up. Fucking, he wakes up in the hospital and they go, Stella, is that you? Ah!
Oh, God, it's a fucking time loop. Yeah. Ah! It's terrifying. Well, see, to me, if you're going to scare me with a movie, I feel like shit. I don't know. I have really weird idiosyncratic stuff that freaks me out. The scenes in The Tenant, like you said, when he looks, okay, people looking somewhere and seeing themselves, that freaks me out.
Yeah,
if it's done right.
He looked back, he saw himself looking at him
through the window. Yeah. Because if that happened to me, I would absolutely shit my pants. Because think how fucking freaky that would be. Because David Lynch does that kind of shit all the time. And that, like, well, I mean, that's kind of like Ingmar Bergman, I think, did that kind of shit. Which, speaking of which, I think this didn't get on my top horror movie list, did it? Hour of the Wolf, did I mention that? I might have. That Ingmar Bergman movie. Watch that. You'll see where, like, David Lynch got some ideas from. He didn't rip it off, but it's very Lynchian in its imagery. Because some surrealist imagery, I think, is scarier than just seeing something that's like, oh, it's a ghost, or oh, it's like a, you know, monster coming at you. It's like, you know, that's scary, but
Well, in what made The Tenant so good is that he was slowly losing his fucking mind.
Yeah.
But then you're not sure, is he really losing his mind, or are they making him lose his mind? Are they trying to convince him that he's Stella?
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like,
no, his
maybe
name wasn't Stella. It was, what was her name?
Simone.
Stella
was Isabella Johnny's
That was the one
character.
that came to visit him. That's right. Yeah, they tried to convince him that he was Simone, or was Simone possessing him, or is he just losing his fucking mind? You don't know.
Yeah, see, and you never know. Right, it's ambiguous. Like I said, ambiguity works depending. I mean, you can't go too ambiguous where I'm just watching it going, what the fuck is this? I don't even know what I'm watching. You do have to have, thank you, Zach. You do have to have some kind of grounding in, you know, reality, and you have to have a grounding in people's actual fears.
You gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can really... I mean, that's why, like I said, I find David Lynch's movies way more unsettling than a lot of horror movies just because, and he's not even trying to make horror movies. He's just trying, I mean, the whole fucking Winky's Diner scene from Mulholland Drive is scary as shit. And that's like not even, I don't even know why it's scary. Nobody knows why it's scary. It just is. I don't know if it's just like this weird, he has this weird way of shooting it where it's like the camera looks like it's kind of floating. Like it's this really weird, like, oh, kind of thing. And then it's like this really, really good, like, buildup of tension, buildup. This is like kind of a jump scare at the end, but not like a regular jump scare. And like I said, a lot of the shit that in his movies that freak me out is like, you know, Robert Blake being like, I'm at your house right now. Like all that kind of shit, like fucking freaks me out. I don't know why. But yeah, so that's why that part of the tenant freaks me out. I mean, him finding the tooth in the wall, that's another thing that freaks me out is like, you're just kind of like dicking around in your own apartment or whatever. And then suddenly you find, oh, look, a tiny little door that you didn't know was there. Then you go in there and there's like something like inexplicable that could have, that seems like it has a sinister meaning, but you don't exactly know what that sinister meaning is. That's way scarier to me than like finding, oh, it's a skull. Yeah. You know.
You gonna read Zach's super chat?
Says, also worth noting is the tenant was shot by Bergman's regular cinematographer, Sven Nykvist. Well, there you go. Well, that probably would explain it. But yeah, I mean, don't you think shit like that, like finding just a tooth, to me is way scarier than finding like a whole skull.
There was a bunch of weird shit in that movie, but you had to be patient for it to all kind of come out. You know what I mean? That's not... We recommended that movie years back, and some people got back and said, I wasted my time with that movie. You know what I mean? Some people just don't get it. They don't have the taste for it. You know? It's not... Some of these movies, of course, you know, they came from a pre-internet age, and some of these kids, you know, they can't watch them. They can't actually watch them. And I'm not saying anything bad about them. You know, fucking Xanada's like that, you know, which we talk all the time. He can't watch anything for longer than about 15 or 20 minutes. Then he's got to stop. And then he'll take a break, and then he'll come back and watch another 15 or 20 minutes of it. They just don't have the attention span. I guess it's just we grew up watching 3-hour movies, not, you know, no problem. 2-hour movie.
Well, and sometimes you'd rent like 2 or 3 movies, and you'd just sit there all night and watch them.
Watch movies,
you'd get a fucking pizza with your friends, and you'd just be sitting like watching 3 or 4 slasher movies in a row.
That's why a lot of movies...
I don't have a problem with that at all.
I think that's why movies and theater are kind of an endangered art form, because we grew up with the experience of going to the movies and sitting down and watching something on a big screen in a crowd of people, and can sit there for 2.5 hours concentrated on a single story. And, you know... The modern era isn't like that. They pause, they get up, they go away. Little bitty screen in their hand. They just came up that way. They don't have a nostalgia for that time. They didn't grow up in that.
Well, I'm always kind of like, I mean, and not everybody can enjoy things however they want to. It's like I said, I'm not judging anybody's shit. It's like if you want to watch a movie and then look at your phone at the same time, it's like, look, it's no skin off my ass. I don't really give a shit. But when I watch a movie, I want to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like glancing over here and be like, hey, what's going on fucking Instagram? Hey, what's doing? You know, I don't really want to be that. I want to kind of like get involved in the story.
I had that dude,
or I'm not going to bother watching it.
I had that dude sitting next to me in that fucking, we were watching, it was one of those MCU movies. And he had his little phone. And we were in that Dolby theater, remember?
Yeah, it was the nice chairs.
He checked that. He started checking that shit every 5 minutes. And I just fucking took that phone from him. He looked at me like I was fucking crazy.
Give me that fucker.
And he was scared though. I just looked at him and I said, "It's fucking pissing me off. I'll fucking break this phone." And he goes, "Let me get my phone back." And I said, "I give it back to you at the end of the show."
They should probably just take everyone's cell phones. I mean, I know you might need it for emergencies or something like that. I get it, but...
I was old enough to be his dad, so he's just
The thing about it, though, is that I'm not even saying that it's a generational thing, because a lot of times when we've gone to movies, about half the time, when it's some asshole on their phone or their phone is ringing or somebody talking, it's old people.
Yeah, because they don't know how to turn the damn phone off. It was just that one. It was just that one kid. It was just that one kid, you know. I said, fucking, you know, I said, I'm going to get mad. And he goes, oh, okay. I'm going to get mad. Because he realized he couldn't control me. They'd have to call the cops.
Well, I don't think people understand because they're so used. Maybe they're so used to staring at their phones. They don't realize in a dark room that's very, very distracting.
They don't give a shit.
It's very distracting.
They don't give a shit.
Like you're sitting right next to me, bro. It's like fucking. It's right there in my fucking face. Stop it.
If I get mad, I get mad with some of these people. You know, I let them know that they're not gonna be able to reason with me. I don't accept reason. It gets to a certain point where it's not reason isn't gonna be. Jenny knows. You can't reason with me. You know, if you're reasoning with me, then that means you're going to do something bad to me or trying to get over on me. You know, don't use reason with me. Just.
Yeah, I've tried. It doesn't
work. Well, you can do it a little bit. All right. I always see, whenever somebody approaches me where they're going to try to reason with me, is they're trying to convince me to give up something I have for their benefit. It doesn't have anything to do with my benefit. It has to do with their benefit. So I see it as begging, you know. Because I can reason anybody into doing anything if I fucking have it all planned out. How do you think those girls ended up sucking dick in them porn movies? Somebody reasoned them into that shit. They talked them into it.
I don't know if that's necessarily
It used to be
true.
what it was. That's used to be.
I think all they wanted was some fucking money.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't somebody else reasoning it. They were reasoning, well, maybe I can make a bunch of money quick doing this, and it sucks, but, you know.
There's usually a dude standing there or a girl standing there. I want you to meet this guy. We're going to get that money that you need real quick. This, and then, yeah, that's how it was back in the old school days. You see that? But the thing is I don't think you have to do it too much anymore. But, you know, I heard whole stories about what was going on in the 70s and the 80s. You know what I mean? It was before porn was mainstream. They were all talked into it.
Yeah, I think that was... Yeah. I don't think that's the problem anymore. Because everybody knows what they're getting into.
Yeah.
I feel like porn is so ubiquitous nowadays that it's like, you know, you can't... You'd have to...
They know what it is.
You'd have to be really naive...
to not know what that is.
To not know what it's going to entail.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, I was laughing because Brittany was talking about that Progressive commercial, and that's exactly what I thought of with the guy with the class, you know what I mean? He's like, you know, and put the silent button. I don't have the silent button. Yes, you do. Everyone has it. It's right here.
Xana's kind of convinced me. Tom, I will watch Apocalypse Now, man. It's on my list. You got to see the Redux. See Apocalypse Now, Redux.
Now, some people like the theatrical cut better, to be fair.
Redux
but
is better.
I like the Redux
Redux
version
is
better. It's longer, but...
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. If you can't get through fucking Conan 1, you're never going to get through Apocalypse Now.
I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of like... I guess I'm always, because I grew up, I mean, one, we grew up before the internet. Two, I'm a big reader. Like, I love to read. And if you're going to read a novel, you really need to kind of focus. Yeah. Because if you're not going to focus, you're not going to know what the fuck's going on. You really have to, like, get all the distractions and stuff. So, maybe that helps. Maybe that's kind of like... And like I said, I don't really... You know, I'm kind of the worst at doing this, too. Because, look, in this office, I have 3 computers. I have this one, I have one over here, and I have a Mac over here. And when I'm in here working, if there are 2 or 3 things that I can have going on at once, then I totally will. Because it'll get done quicker. It's like, oh, I need to download this file over here. I need to, like, upload this over here. I need to write this thing over here. So I can do that. But when I'm consuming entertainment, I don't want anything else going on I just want to concentrate on it, because otherwise I'm not enjoying it if I can't give my full attention to it.
Xana, see Apocalypse Now Redux. It actually has like an extra half hour in there. It kind of fleshes it out. It answered some of the questions that I had from seeing the original one years back. It's just it's a better movie. And, you know, it's approved of by Milius and, what's his name? Coppola. They, you know, it's closer. I think it's a little closer to what they wanted to talk about. And certain things make more sense in the Redux version. About where that surfboard came from. Because remember, just in the damn... Theatrical cut, you see the surfboard, you don't know where it came from. But they show you where it came from in the Redux.
They do.
Yeah. And it all means something.
Tila says she has a very sad DVD collection. She says, I have more comedy DVDs than horror, and horror is my favorite genre. Nowadays, I used to have like a shit ton of horror DVDs, but I don't have as many anymore just because you know, it's much easier to get them on streaming nowadays. I do like to own certain ones, like if it's ones that I'm going to watch over and over, like The Shining, obviously. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of comedies. I'm really, really picky about. I don't hate comedies, but it's not my preferred genre. It's probably right. Well, it's not my least favorite because my least favorite is probably rom-coms. I fucking hate those. Like all that kind of like sappy, lifetimey movie.
I don't know, that one that we saw, I thought was funny.
Which one?
Well, that fat girl, she went in another dimension.
Well, now, so I'm not saying across the board. I'm just saying, yeah, that one was super funny.
You want another drink?
Yeah. That one was actually really funny. Yeah. I do kind of like Rebel Wilson. Are you going to take the glass or no?
Yeah, I thought you were going to drink some more.
No. It's getting kind of watery.
All right.
You know, I don't know. It just takes a lot for a comedy. I have a strange sense of humor, and I don't know. So it takes certain things. I like dark comedies, and I like some other kind of regular comedies too. But I don't know. I don't usually seek them out. And like I said, I don't like chick flicks. I don't like rom-coms usually, unless they have some fucked up like dark comedy shit going on in them. I mean, I don't know, man. I always thought I would kind of get sick of horror movies, but I never have. It's funny because I'll watch, if he would let me, I would just watch horror movies all night long. I would just watch them one after the other. Or true crime. I would watch true crime documentaries one after the other. It doesn't bother me. And, but you know, we'll watch one thing, like I'll watch a true crime documentary about fucking some horrible serial killer or something. Be like, can we watch something else? It's like, can we watch something funny? It's like, this is depressing. And it's like, oh, huh? Are you depressed? Okay. But, okay. So, and he has a hard time, like, watching the same kind of thing in a row too much, and it doesn't bother me that much. Like I said, when I used to write more for my blog, which I really wish I had time to get back into, like, I would watch, like, 4 horror movies back to back, and then, like, write about all of them. And it didn't bother me in the slightest. So, I don't know. It's something I never get tired of. Even though some of them I don't really think of them as particularly scary or anything, but it's just always something I've really liked. I always liked horror shit. I always liked scary shit. And I'm not really interested in like other kind, like normal shit or funny shit, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. It must be some weird genetic anomaly that I have, but it's just nothing that I ever get tired of. It doesn't bum me out. It doesn't depress me. It doesn't do anything like that. Oh, there we go. Oh, I forgot you had the hat on, and then you came in. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, who's that dude?
Yeah. Well, because it looked really weird. It looked like you had horns for a second. Yes, did you guys have a chance to watch Pandorum? I haven't watched it yet. I wrote it down on my list though. But
isn't that a space movie?
I don't remember. I wrote it down. But,
Pandorum.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Mike says, "Why does the Deer Hunter never get talked about?"
One.
You know what? I want to do the Deer Hunter too because I fucking love that movie. I haven't seen it for probably 20 years.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
But I remember really digging it. Fucking Christopher.
They're making him do damn Russian roulette and everything. Remember that?
Yeah, it's a great fucking movie. Tila says, "I can do horror back to back, but then need some levity." Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I don't really have that. Like I said, I can watch horror movies for hours, and then I can go write a horror story, and then I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I don't know what it is. I must have a problem. Oh man. Xanada says Cocaine Cowboys is a good documentary. We need to watch some more documentaries.
Yeah, Pandorum was on a spaceship with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
A long time ago. There's another good science fiction movie. It was a little bitty movie. It's really good though, low budget. It was it never gets talked about. If you guys can find it, I tried to look for it on Blu-ray. It never got a Blu-ray release. It was called Hunter Prey.
That was actually much better than I was expecting.
Yeah, Hunter Prey was about these two guys chasing this alien through the desert. And you find out later that they're kind of like stormtroopers is what they look like. Turns out those guys in the Stormtrooper masks are kind of like reptiles. And the dude that they're chasing is a human. He was a human captive that they had. And then you find out that it's in the same universe as Enemy Mine. Because he talks about the Drax. I don't know if you guys ever saw Enemy Mine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
I remember that movie.
Kind of like an unofficial sequel to Enemy Mine. Pretty good. And it was just made by some guys that were special effects dudes, Hollywood special effects guys. They had all these fucking cool costumes, and they were just like, man, we can make our own movie. They went out to the desert and made their own movie. It was good.
I just have so much respect for that. Somebody said, speaking of that, Filthy Gardener says, have you guys seen Coherence? Yes, it is brilliant. And like I said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This was a dude that was basically, he got a bunch of his friends that were actors together that were all really good at improv. He used his own house and he did a sci-fi movie, but it's sci-fi in the sense that it's like a weird time loop kind of story. And it's fucking great. And he let them like kind of improv their characters. He kind of had some plot points where he was kind of like, hey, you know, you had an affair with this person or whatever. But then he just kind of let them do their thing. And it came out really, really good. And like the story is really cool. Like there's this dinner party and then they slowly start to discover that like a comet goes over, if I remember correctly. And I guess the comet being over there makes like all of these realities sort of exist in the same place at the same time. So all of the people at this house, they have counterparts. No, they don't really know how many because it's not really made clear. But at other exact houses, like in other dimensional, it's like, it's really, really good. But like I said, that's a really good example of just a really great concept and a really great, really great actors, really great improv, good writing, good, plot development, whatever. And you don't need a lot of money. It's filmed pretty much in an entire house and in front of the house. And it's great.
Yeah, Pat, I think Hunter Prey might have been around 2009, 2010 maybe, 2011. Somebody can look that up. I don't know. It's called Hunter Prey.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, real good. Good writing. It's just made by dudes that made costumes for Hollywood, and it's spot on. What are you doing, Poop?
What is she doing?
They didn't really spend any money on it, but they wrote a good story and they executed real well. They shot it out in the desert with some really good costumes. Will you stop it?
Oh, she got the box. I had a box that has like shampoo in it.
Yeah, she's trying to play with it.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to get the box." Don't play with the box, Pokey. It's too heavy.
She wants to go outside. Okay, you want to go outside? Come on.
It's kind of okay.
Yep, that's what I gotta do.
Well,
come on.
It's not even dark out. She already wants to go outside. I don't know what the hell. But yeah. So, oh man. I told him not to let her out until dark, but it's not dark yet. It's only 6 o'clock. All right. Yeah, Coherence was great. Another one in that same vein was Triangle. Also very good.
She said, no, it's not dark enough.
See, I told you. She doesn't want to go outside until it's dark.
She's like, no.
Also, I'm really mad because when I was looking back over my horror list last week, and I was like, oh shit, I should have put in my best of, the last 21 years, I didn't put They Look Like People. And I'm really, really mad that I forgot, because that totally would have been on the list. I don't know which one it would have knocked off, but I guess because it didn't come up like because I just went through the Wikipedia pages and stuff, like horror movies from this year, that year. And it wasn't listed as a horror movie, I don't think. Maybe because it's usually listed as a thriller or something, but it's a psychological horror movie for sure. It's about a dude with schizophrenia and he thinks all his friends are demons. And it's really, really good. I mean, really good. I don't know where... I think I watched it on Netflix, but I don't think it's on there anymore. It might be on some other streaming service. Triangle was on the ship. Yeah. That was the one that was on the ship. And again, that was another like time loop kind of thing where they kind of they got shipwrecked and then they found this ship and nobody was on it. And then somebody started shooting at them. And I don't want to spoil it farther than that, but it was really good. It was like a time loop thing,
Yeah, Pandorum, I think, was the one where they were on a colony ship, and guys were waking up out of hypersleep and had to run around inside the colony ship. They're being attacked by these damn monsters, these aliens. And then it turns out at the very end that they had already arrived on the planet a long time ago, and the guy that was running the ship was fucking torturing people, letting them out and having the monsters fucking go after them. And they weren't monsters, they were humans that had been kind of like infected with this mutagenic agent that it was supposed to be used to like fertilize the new planet. It's fucking weird. It's pretty weird.
It was a really, really
I
good
think
movie.
that's that same one he's talking about. I think it might have been called Pandorum.
Tila said another good list would be scariest scenes in movies. I used to do a long time ago, like I said, when I was still writing long form stuff for my blog, I did do some like a breakdown of some of my favorite scenes, like in horror movies, like what I thought were the creepiest ones, and a lot of ones that scared me when I was a kid. Like I said, the Winky's Diner scene from Mulholland Drive, which always freaked me out. The shit from The Tenant, particularly the one, like I said, the tooth in the wall, like where he sees himself, where he sees like where he goes in the bathroom, it's all like fucking hieroglyphs all over that freaked me out. And then there was like shit like, if you guys have seen the original movie The Eye, I think it's a Thai movie. I think it was Pang Brothers. It came out in 2002, I want to say. And there's a fucking terrifying scene in that movie with a girl in an elevator. And if you've seen the movie, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's really, really creepy. So that, I talked about that. I talked about Stir of Echoes. The scene where the first time when Ileana Douglas, like when her character hypnotizes Kevin Bacon, and she's trying to get him to like visualize stuff, so he like visualizes like a movie theater, just like, and then everything's black, like the walls go black, and then all the seats are black, and then the fucking screen lights up, and it's just the way they did it was like super, super creepy. So that kind of freaked me out. There was a scene in the first Nightmare on Elm Street which freaked me out too, which it's not the long arm thing, but it was the first time that Nancy sees Tina in the body bag. Like Nancy is in the English class, and remember like that guy is reciting from the Shakespeare play, and then like his voice goes to a whisper, which freaks me out. And then she looks over and sees Tina standing in the hall in the body bag. That freaks me out. I don't know why. But yeah, so I did a whole series about scary scenes. Scene in Fright Night where Amy's mouth is real big, like that, like the costume I did last Halloween. That scared me when I was a kid, or like a teenager. What about you? What's your scariest? What scene scared you in movies?
None of them.
None of them. Well, no, when you were a kid.
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man.
Scene from Salem's Lot, with him wanting to
there's
come
a lot.
in.
Yeah, there's a lot of them when I was a kid. I mean, it just depends on what I remember most recently. Like I said, we were talking about the movie Piranha.
Yeah.
That guy got his hand caught in the damn fishing wire around the fucking boat motor, and all the piranhas ate his arm off, ate his hand off. That I remember that one as a kid.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was shit out of this giant spider invasion that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid, and that was a fucking cheesy ass movie. Like when that girl had that tarantula went in that blender and she blended it and drank it. That fucking
even Stephen King mentioned that.
Yeah,
scene.
that freaked me out.
So,
yeah,
you know, although even though, like I said, giant spider invasion, it's a great Mystery Science Theater episode, and Riff Tracks did it too, and that was also really funny. But I love that the spider that they made for giant spider invasion, it looks for all the world when it's eating a victim as though it's stuffing the victims up its butt.
it is.
I mean, it really looks
is.
like he's stuffing them up his butt. It doesn't look like a mouth.
Well, whoever made that shit.
It's a car, right?
Yeah,
it's a car with spider
some
legs
of them,
on
yeah.
it.
There's more than one of them. There's more than one of them. What I thought was funny about that though is that whoever made that thing did not understand arachnid fucking.
Bill Rebane from Wisconsin.
Yeah, he didn't know how spiders were built. That thing had a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that's an insect.
That's an ant.
Spiders are not.
Spiders
insects.
don't have that.
No.
Yeah. It's just two. It's an abdomen and then like a fucking
Yeah,
body.
That's a totally different. And they
Totally
have 8
different.
legs, and insects only have 6.
Yeah, the body layout was all wrong on the damn thing.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Looked like a giant ant.
It's Wisconsin, man. They just like cobbled the shit together.
Out of fucking styrofoam.
And a couple of scenes, I'm pretty sure was a Volkswagen with carpets on it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But like I said,
I had everybody in the whole town running around, fucking running from that thing.
I can't watch it nowadays because like that Mystery Science Theater episode is probably one of my favorite ones because Mike Nelson, the head writer, is also from Wisconsin. So they had so much fucking ammunition like going after this movie because, you know, he's from there, so it's like he knew like the culture and shit. And it's just the fucking shit. So like every time they have this mob of people run around wanting to kill this spider, and they're like, Packers! Like every fucking time, and it's just like every fucking time it makes me laugh. And plus like the dude that's in it, Bill Rebane, who he made some pretty shit ass movies, gotta say. But he's actually kind of he was a dialogue coach, weirdly.
Yeah.
And he was actually good enough at it that I think he was on like the Tonight Show, like he talked to Johnny Carson and shit like that, I want to say. But so it's what?
Tila's looking up Piranha. No, Tila, it's the original Piranha.
Yeah, because they remade that.
Yeah, no.
They remade the Omen too.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I saw it though.
Well,
in 2006, maybe.
Those movies were weird because they were horror movies. Well, they weren't weird, I guess. There was always like I don't remember how. I remember that there were always kind of like sexual innuendos, sexual references, and like semi-nudity or nudity in them, and it was always kind of like misplaced. It was just weird, you know. The edit and the timing of those real cheap 70s movies didn't always work out. There was the funny thing I remembered about Giant Spider Invasion, Piranha, is that they were always like double features, and around that same time, I think I should have dropped it.
Oh,
I think Piranha.
What are you doing?
Piranha opened with another movie that I saw along with it. It was I know. Fuck.
She's laying on her back over there with her little paws up like that. Like, hey.
Yeah, no.
I'm being cute over here. You guys are not paying attention.
Piranha played with another movie. I'm pretty sure it was the one about the snake. I think it was called Rattler.
There was one called...
That's what it was. Just the S.
Yeah, a bunch of S's. And I think an exclamation point.
An exclamation point.
I think.
And with that one,
that was the name of it.
They had a bunch of underage sex going on about some 16-year-old girl that was screwing some dude, and she thought she killed him, but it wasn't. It was the snake bite. The snake bit him, and he died from that. But and the cops were trying to settle her down. Says, no, you didn't kill him. It was a snake bite. It was some weird shit. And then it had kind of like a Billy Jack kind of fucking character in that one. If I remember.
Sure.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
I haven't either.
But
I saw it, but it was a long time ago.
From what I remember, there was a Billy Jack type character. And if you don't know who Billy Jack was, he was this...
He was a white Native American?
He was a white Native American Vietnam Army Ranger guy.
Who could do Kung Fu.
Who could do Kung Fu.
Right?
Yeah, and had a fucking hat and wore jeans. And he was kind of like the original Walker, Texas Ranger. But he was a Native American white ranger and fucking who knew Kung Fu.
The 70s were quite a time.
70s was some shit, man. And, and he was kind of like the original Chuck Norris in a way. And I think it might have been related to Walking Tall in some way. I'm not sure.
Oh God, Jodon Baker.
I'm not sure. But those
he
movies
was in that, right? B for T Pusser.
I have to go back and go look at. That was the name of that movie.
It was, yeah. I don't remember how many S's it was exactly.
Like 6 or 7 of them.
It was.
You're right.
Yeah. And I think it had an
exclamation
point.
That movie was
of course it does.
ridiculous as fuck. But it was about as ridiculous as Piranha.
Well, like I said, I love all those Nature-run-amok movies from the 70s. They were so terrible and yet so fucking awesome.
I can't believe you people are taking me down this direction.
I mean, Orca.
Yeah. It was up there with Bug.
Orca's fucking great. Like I said, I think that... Okay, so I think probably... I don't know. I don't know if I want to say Kingdom of the Spiders is my favorite, just because it has the shad in it. Because Empire of the Ants was good. Food of the Gods with the rats. Loosely based on an H.G. Wells story. Very loosely based.
Tina says she loves them 70s fucking horror movies.
Oh my God, so good.
She's seen Piranha and Jaws.
Yeah. Like I said, you got to see Orca.
T, did you see our show about was she on one about Bug?
Yeah,
Bug.
we talked about that.
I think you might have missed Bug. There's a good 70s one called Bug or Bugs. Bug or Bugs. And it was well made. I don't think it's pluralized, is it? It's just called Bug.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that show or not, but we talked about it a couple of days
baby.
ago. Yeah, roaches from the center of the earth, and they got hot, and they could set
roaches
you on fire.
Who could set fires with their butts.
Yeah, and then they could crossbreed with other roaches, and then they could talk and shit.
Yeah, like not talk like, "Hey, what's up?" They could talk like telepathically.
Yeah, they just Bugs came up on Tubi, right? No,
Bug. It was on Hulu.
Hulu.
Yes.
It's on for free for Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Well, if you have Hulu, you have to pay.
Hulu.
You have to pay for Hulu.
It's good.
I pay for it.
It's good, actually. The weirdest movie ever. It had the weirdest fucking ending.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it is pretty weird. I mean,
dude blew up. He jumped in the hole and blew up. That's how it ended.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Dude
Well,
fucking jumped in the hole and blew up. And there's no reason why he blew up.
I laughed so hard.
I don't understand what happened with that.
I was like making jokes.
I was like,
that's what happens when you drink
he jumped in the
nitroglycerin
fucking hole.
every day.
He jumped down in the fucking hole, blew up, and it said the end. And I jumped up. Jenny saw me. I jumped up. Went no.
He did. Yeah. He's like, I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, he blew up.
No. They were doing so well, and they just ended it.
One of these days, one of these days, I did mention Orca, Mango. I actually love that movie. And Minerva has brought up Phase 4, which is actually a really good movie. I was like, a lot of the ones from the 70s, with the Swarm and all that kind of shit are pretty cheesy. But Phase 4 was actually a good movie, like by any measure. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. T says, roaches that shoot fire out of its asses, I'm right there.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, you're going to love this movie. And it's taking place in California. It's taking place, where was that? Down in Oceanside? I think it might have around Oceanside.
Man, no, I can't remember where it was.
Old school California, back when a lot of it was dirt roads. Out in the fucking hills.
And fun fact, the garbage house where the mad scientist lived was also the same as the Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch house.
Like the set.
And I recognized it as soon as I saw it. I said, that looks like some out of Brady Bunch.
That's what I heard.
And she laughed me off and turned out, no, it was Brady Bunch.
I didn't laugh at you. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember the Brady Bunch, so I don't know.
House. And then another good one that you might like, T, if you like those 70s fucking fucked up weird ass monster movies, is that they had one. I think it might have originally been made for television, but it was really high quality. I saw it on television. I think it might have been made for television, but it was like a big event. It was called Gargoyles.
Yeah, that's great.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It's good.
I like that movie.
It's about some gargoyles come out of the fucking center of the earth, and they're trying to reclaim and repopulate the earth. Near the same ones that were all on the statues, outside the fucking Notre Dame and shit. They looked just like that. Winged ones and ones that didn't have wings, and male and female ones. And the main male one with the wings looked kind of like the devil. He loved human women, and he was going to crossbreed with them. Remember that?
Of course he was.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I like that.
There's always one.
Yeah. It's fucking weird shit.
Yeah, trans-species, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Tila asked about Let's Scare Jessica to Death. We actually did a review of that. Ooh, gosh, it's been a long time ago. Yeah, that was the one movie that always really kind of freaked me out. It's kind of a vampire movie, sort of.
Yeah. T just added Gargoyles, just added good reviews. Yeah, Gargoyles was a trip.
It's fun. That is a fun movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I really like a lot of made for TV. Like, they made a lot of really good made for TV horror shit, like in the 70s. Well, like I said, everybody knows Duel, because, Steven Spielberg.
The Car.
Well,
that wasn't made for TV.
That wasn't made for TV.
That wasn't made for TV.
Steven Spielberg directed Duel, and it was based on Richard Matheson. But if you guys did not know, Steven Spielberg also made another made-for-TV movie back in the 70s called Something Evil. And that was pretty damn good, too. I think it came out a little bit after Duel, maybe.
Yeah.
Not as good as Duel, obviously, because that's a fucking classic. But this one also kind of good. And it was kind of like a witchcrafty, Pennsylvania, people with, hex symbols on their barns and that kind of shit. So it was some witchcrafty, Satan-y kind of stuff. And that was also very good. I think I brought it up before, but probably one of my favorite TV movies is The Strange Possession of Mrs. Oliver with sexy ass Karen Black.
Sexy
I said it
ass,
right.
Yeah, that's right. It always either starts or ends with sexy ass. Karen Black, sexy ass, or sexy ass Karen Black.
It's almost kind of like I like that movie because for the whole time, I don't know. I guess it's horror, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's more like a thriller, but it has like horror elements to it. There's some great like really creepy imagery, like with her like at a funeral and stuff. But I don't want to spoil it because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it. I had no fucking idea what was going on through the whole thing, and then the end of it, I was just kind of like I was just like, holy fucking shit, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like the ending of it was like batshit crazy, but like in a good way. I had no idea that was coming. I was completely blindsided. Maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. But I totally did not guess where that shit was going. I really didn't. But it's really good. It's, you know.
T, did you see the car? When they called the car?
Yeah.
The car, yeah.
I think didn't they just put that on Shudder or something?
Just came out on Blu-ray too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Blu-ray release. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's good. It's fucking about a demonic car that came from hell. That's a weird one. The car.
I kind of feel like maybe did that like rip off Duel though?
Yeah, it was like Duel, but it was fucking paranormal.
Because Duel was like a truck and a truck driver, and you never saw the driver, and you never knew what the motive was, or you just saw his arm, I think. And there was like no reason for him to be doing what he was, which, like I said, in a way kind of makes it scarier because he's just doing the shit, and he doesn't.
She said she didn't see the car, she just saw the hearse. You gotta see the car.
Oh, the hearse is good. I really like that.
I haven't seen the hearse.
Like I said, I'm a big fan of, and so much of it is like forgotten. And there's one YouTube channel, and I can't remember what it's called, but there's this one dude, and he has put up like a couple hundred made-for-TV movies and like forgotten movies from the 70s. And so I think he's got some 60s shit in there too. But there's so much good shit in there. Like a lot of them are,
okay,
marginally okay. But when you're in the mood for those, I don't know, there's something like really kind of weirdly comforting about them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, they were relaxing in a way, and they were written for normal people.
As normal as people that lived in the 70s could be.
Well, they didn't have any deeper message for most of the time. If they did have a message, it was a very simple message. It wasn't any kind of intersectional shit or anything that you'd see now with politics. They weren't mean-spirited movies. They weren't trying to piss an audience off or challenge anybody. It wasn't any kind of social thing or what do you call it, political thing. It was just, how are we going to entertain these fuckers? You know what I mean? That's really what it is.
Yeah.
What kind of fucking story are we going to tell these people to trip them the fuck out? Like, some of them might have been anti-nuclear, like Damnation Alley.
Well, a lot of them were pro-ecology.
Pro-ecology.
Because that was a big thing in the 70s.
Yeah.
And pouring chemicals all over everything, goddammit.
Yeah, and what was funny is that
You're mutating all the animals.
It was also kind of like, they weren't blaming anybody other than just fucking things in general. They were, a lot of times the pro-ecology ones were also religious. They were about fucking with God's creation and God's creatures.
Yeah, I can see that.
They had so I guess you could say they appealed, even though it wasn't a very, some people would say that it was more divided then than it is now. I don't think so. They appealed to people on the right and the left, if the right and left was actually a thing like it is today. I don't really think it really was.
Oh yeah, it totally was.
I think it was kind of a little bit different dynamic though back then. The generations were different. But they appealed to everybody.
I was just laughing at Brittany because she was saying, I just showed my kids the movie Rubber about the killer tire because they didn't believe that it existed. It does indeed exist.
What?
Rubber. That's what it's called. It's about a killer tire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like a killer car tire. Next, you should show them Deathbed, the Bed That Eats.
I remember that one.
Although that's a terrible movie. Although it is very funny when they feed the bed a bucket of KFC.
Yeah.
Just saying. That was such a fucking strange movie. I was watching it because I said I gotta watch Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. Come on. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, what kind of? There's like, this is like the most weirdly exploitative idea, and then the person that made it was like this kind of pretentious, Oscar Wilde reading person, and it was just like a really, really strange juxtaposition. I don't know. Like I said, the 70s were a fucking weird time, man. Deathbed, the Bed That Eats actually might be on. You can probably watch that for free, I would imagine. I wouldn't advise it because it's kind of boring. I mean, so much potential. There's so much potential with that premise. And they just... I feel like it's kind of unrealized, you know? You know?
Yeah.
You all right?
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just drinking. I lost track of what was going on.
Patton Oswalt does kind of a thing about Deathbed, the Bed That... yeah, I know, I saw that.
I thought it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I feel like... Okay, somebody needs to do a remake of it. But... I don't know. Like, maybe I'll do a remake of it.
There's nothing there.
Well, you have to... Well, no, but you have to really get kind of the tone right. You have to write a better backstory for the deathbed. You have to, like, have some more fucked up shit that happens with the deathbed. It's like, it can't just be like, hey, let's have sex on the bed, and then you get just absorbed into it, and then it's just like you're falling in the water or whatever. Because I know it was the 70s, and they, you know, the movie cost about $3 to make.
What, took him, 15 years to complete it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he made that movie little by little with his own money, and was making it up as he was going along.
True.
I remember seeing the movie and was kind of pissed off that I had watched it. I mean, yeah, it's just a series of scenes.
It is, yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of connective tissue.
There's nothing really connected to it. I can understand what he was doing. He was just making a scene after scene after scene of different situations of why people would be eaten by the bed. But there was nothing real. There was no real... Dude was high.
Well, and the thing about it, too, was that the bed was like in an abandoned house,
yeah.
which I think you need to get rid of that right away because that's... You don't have like a pool of victims.
Right.
Because you're just getting like all these fucking hippies wandering through the woods. Hey, let's fuck in this abandoned house. How often is that going to happen?
T said a lot of people don't like the Amityville Horror, but I love the movie, the second one, too. The Amityville Horror...
I love Amityville Horror.
Yeah, I saw the Amityville Horror in the theater when it came out. My babysitter took me to see it, Kim. And so she had to have been what? How old at that time? She had to be at least...
It came out in 79.
Okay, so I was 9.
Okay.
All right. So she was old enough to get me into the movies in California at that time.
So she must have been over 17.
Yeah, okay.
I would imagine. Well, wait, is it R?
I don't know. But it was California, and they weren't real strict on that kind of shit, especially if she went in there with a bunch of cute girls. I think she was probably closer to like 15 or 16 when she took me to it. 17 maybe. Maybe you're right. I think it might have been 17 back then. But anyway,
it's still 17.
Still 17?
If you're over 17, you can get into an R movie. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not
she's
18,
about
it's
17
17.
then. Okay. And that movie, Amityville Horror, was fucking scary. They were scared.
Yeah, the pig thing scared me.
Yeah.
When I was little.
In those days. There's something about seeing it on the big screen doesn't quite translate even to my smart television, because I saw it on my big TV in HD. The transfer isn't that good. It has kind of a cheap feel to it. It kind of feels like a made-for-TV movie.
It does, yeah.
But it didn't feel like that way that originally. Now, I was just a kid. But everybody loved that movie, and it was a sensation. It was a big hit.
And that book sold like a zillion copies.
Yeah, people talked about that movie.
Even though it was all a bunch of crap.
People talked about that movie for a long time. I can go back and watch that movie and still enjoy it.
We watch it every couple of years, and it's like, I still have a good time with it.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't even mind the remake all that much.
Yeah. Seeing Jody up in the window.
So, like I said, that scared me. That scared me, and the scene where he had the dream that he axed Margot Kidder, that scared the shit out of me. A lot.
What I always liked is how he fell through the steps and ended up going into the damn black sewage.
There was a lot of scary shit in that.
And then the dog attacked him, but then helped get him out. And then they fucking all escaped together and shit.
The dog's name was Harry, I remember.
Yeah, Harry, yeah. And Lutz was brave. He went back to go save the dog. like a real man would do. I'm going to go back and get
Well,
the dog.
yeah. Well,
I'm
like
gonna
I
go back
said,
and
even
get
if
the
like
dog.
poltergeists are tearing my house up, you
Yeah.
better believe I'm going
Go
back
back
in
and
there
get
to
the
save
dog.
Pookie. I'm gonna go save
Yeah.
Pookie.
Yeah,
I'm not leaving her in there. Fuck that.
He ended up as being fucking
Fuck you, demons.
falling into the toilet sludge,
Yeah.
coming out anyway. It was good. And then the way it ended, you know, the Lutz left, they never went back, you know. And it all just kind of strengthened the damn lore of that case. It was another era pre-internet. You didn't have access to the witnesses. They'd show up on television every now and then. People thought it was real. I think it was a hoax.
Yeah.
I think it was a hoax. There were too many problems with the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Lutzes, I think, knew it was a hoax, but not everything that they did.
I think they all cooked it up
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, they wanted.
I mean,
to have
a bunch of people did get shot in that house. That's true.
You know, we've dealt with stuff. You know, we've dealt with the fucking paranormal scene, written books. A lot of people in that business they really honestly want to know what the hell's going on. But there are some people out there to this day who will try to make up a story hoping that it's going to have the response that the Amityville horror case had. As if it's 1979.
Well, it's too diffuse nowadays.
Yeah.
If you can't command the same
Nope.
Portion of the population that you could back then. There's too many other options.
Too many other things.
Sadly.
We no longer live in a centralized top-down market or a top-down world. Everything is parallel, diffuse, and spread out, which is actually better because they can't force you to watch anything anymore. And Amityville Horror came from a time when there was like 4 television stations, and cable was new, and there wasn't a whole hell of a lot on cable.
No.
So, if you had a movie, and the movie referenced a book, you would sell millions of damn books.
Well, yeah, because what the fuck else
Yeah.
were you gonna watch or
Yeah.
read? That was kind of that was it.
Now, you as a writer might only get 10 cents on a book, maybe $1 on a book, but still that's $1 million.
Well, yeah, if you sell like several, which
Yeah.
that book did.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, if it was some paranormal shit, particularly in the 70s, if it was
Right.
like some paranormal that was like kind of believable and they're like based on a true story, oh man,
Yeah.
cha-ching.
Yeah, but that will not happen again.
No.
The market is totally different. Books are totally different. There will never be another Stephen King again. You know, he happened because the publishing industry was so different back then. If you had a hit, you could get another hit, and another hit, and another hit, and another hit.
And you could just
And
keep having millions of hits like Stephen King, but really
Yep.
not a lot of people have that.
Yeah, not anymore.
I mean, some people do, obviously, still, but
and then he
it's
had
not really
great
the same.
publishing houses that are willing to get those hits. So in a way, the old stars of the old order, that's what I want to put it, they were kind of artificial creations riding on the back of industries, and I guess you could say platforms. That'd be a good modern way. They're riding on the back of platforms that no longer exist. The publishing industry is not what it was. It doesn't command the power it used to. It's all online now, which means that everyone is competing. It's good and it's bad, because now a person like Jenny can compete without any kind of damn gatekeepers. You don't have to lay out a bunch of money. There's no kickbacks. There's no weird contracts. You can just write a book and get a couple bucks off the damn book when you sell it. And it's more than, you don't have to sell 1 million copies anymore. You know? You can sell a few thousand copies and it made it worth the while. You know? And then you do it all over time. Since they're all print on demand, you don't have to rent a warehouse and order 2 million fucking copies and have that shit sitting up in warehouses for the next 5 years, selling them one at a time. So it's just not, it's a lot more efficient.
Well, but it's a trade-off, because it's the thing where back in the old days, if you could get an agent and then you could get a publisher, the publisher would front money, would advertise the shit, would put you on TV, would do all this other stuff. So it would like amp up your sales, and you'd end up making more per book.
Yeah,
but
and then there was a big infusion of money, like, oh, by the way, here's $400,000. You know,
which is what Stephen King got for his first novel.
Yeah,
that wasn't the first thing he'd written. He had a lot of short stories published. He started out doing short stories in like skin mags. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what you did. You just published horror stories in skin mags.
Yeah.
And then so he had published a bunch of short stories, and I guess he submitted his first novel, which was Carrie, and they gave him a $400,000 advance. He was living in a fucking trailer with his wife, and they had a baby or two, and, you know, he said he was writing on a typewriter across. He didn't have a desk. He just had like a fucking like a plank of wood with a typewriter that he'd like put in his lap that he could like write. So, you know, it did happen, but I just feel like it maybe, I don't know. It doesn't really happen the same way anymore.
Soph jumped in.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, Mango said that was the Coke money. Yeah, he did. A lot of that probably went up his nose, right?
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah, he said there was a stretch where he doesn't even remember like a bunch of the books that he wrote. Which is crazy, man. It's like, man, I have 2 or 3 drinks. It's like, there's no way I could write a fucking novel that would make any sense. Come on now. I mean, if you can be like coked out of your gourd so much that you don't even remember it later, and you could write like a fucking 1,000-page novel, props to you, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Exorcist 2 sucked, but Exorcist 3 was great.
Yeah, we did a review on Exorcist 3, actually. Yeah. I feel like it's really underrated.
Yeah.
Now, some people are saying that, like, the other Amityville movies were cool, too. And I remember I think I saw Amityville. I'm sure I've seen Amityville 2. I might have also seen Amityville 3, because they were on cable a lot back in the day, but I don't remember that much about them. So, and a lot of people are saying that those were actually good. So maybe I should check those out again. Maybe we should do... They've made... Those, yeah. Although we can't see all the Amityville movies, because I think, last time I checked, I think they've made 19 Amityville movies at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, the poor people that fucking live in that house still. Although, didn't they move it? I think the house has been moved and they don't have those windows anymore. Because
they changed the windows. They didn't want people to recognize it.
Because they were sick of people coming by there. Even though everybody still knows where it's at. There's the internet. You know what I mean?
It's ridiculous.
It is. Yeah. Somebody was talking about Stephen King's coke addiction. Yeah, he went on a lot about that. It's mind-blowing to me how much that he wrote that he doesn't remember. That just fucking kills me.
Well, it came out of his fucking right side of his brain.
I guess.
Out of the damn subconscious and stuff.
So, I will admit that because like
when I'm thinking about it.
When I was reading on writing, which if you're a writer, you know, you might want to. It's really good. It's part memoir and then part kind of writing advice, I guess, sort of, but not in a sort of condescending way. It almost kind of made me when it's like, maybe I should get coked out. Maybe that'd help me.
It costs too much money.
It would, yeah. That's like all my fucking money would be gone. Yeah. But it does kind of... One thing that Stephen King... I will give Stephen King credit for this. Like I said, I grew up reading his stuff. I think to be a writer, I was more inspired by Clive Barker because he was like way weirder and like the shit that he came up with just... You know, his imagination was like really inspiring to me. But one thing that Stephen King said that actually resonated a lot with me was that, and I think he wrote about it on writing, was that he's like, oh, I never have an outline. He's like, I just have an idea of, you know, a situation. He's like, I think of a couple of characters. I think of a situation. What if all of these people were trapped in a grocery store and there were all these like monsters outside, like from another dimension? Like he'll think of that. And then he's like, and I don't write anything else down. I don't make an outline. I don't do a plot synopsis. I don't do anything. I just sit down and start writing. And he's like, and I just I let it go. I don't think about it. And to me, that was like, you know, as a 20-something-year-old person, that was revelatory. Yeah. Because to me, I had always thought, and I'm kind of like an organized person. I try to like get all my shit together. I make lists every day of what I got to do and everything. And so I had always tried to make outlines of my stories. Like I'd have an idea and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then this person's going to do this. And so I'd have this big plot outline done, like a big chart and everything. And then I would get like halfway through the shit and then I'd get kind of lost or I'd get bored with it or something like that. And I would never finish anything. And so him saying that made me actually, I was like, maybe I should try it. Maybe I should try that. Just not even, don't worry about it. Just come up with an idea and just start writing shit and just see what happens. And it worked. I mean, it might not work for everybody, but I feel like I was getting so bogged down in the details shit, right, and so worried about how is this going to resolve itself? You know, how am I going to do this and that? I think I had a weird thing when I was younger that I didn't realize that I could go back after it was done and fix it.
Yeah.
And I know that's stupid, but I don't think that ever really occurred to me in any meaningful way until I was older. That it's like, you know, you can just write the whole thing, just like write a draft of it, and then you can go back later and like tweak things and make it seem more like you meant to do that.
Jenny spends all day working. She's either working on her own stuff or doing things on contract for other people. I spend a lot of the time watching other YouTubers who track corporations. Like, I'm really big into what's happening at Disney with The Mandalorian, and just other things that are happening in Hollywood. And I'm just convinced, and also in politics, super politics on the government, or not the government, on the global level and everything. We're in between two different eras. The old era is ending and a new era is coming. And it's going to be very shocking to people who built their lives on the old institutions, because the old institutions aren't going to make it. But it's going to be very liberating to people like Jenny and me, who can freewheel and have skills that can be used on the internet, because it's going to be people like us, individual creators, and you people are the future. The big industries are not going to make it. They're too big. They're too clumsy. Just like Apocalypse Now, they're like snails crawling across the edge of a straight razor. That's what they're like. They can't maneuver enough. They can't bring a product to market quickly enough, and they're all being attacked by their own fans because they listen to fans on Twitters. The more popular you are, the bigger you are as a target. And then there's all these mobs, cancel culture mobs coming after them. That's all very bad for business. And the old Hollywood and the old way of producing things, for them, they kind of had kind of like a Soviet mindset where art was also politics. You don't bother to make a movie unless it's going to be politics and important. They called it an important movie. Well, when you do that, you're throwing yourself into a low-level fucking civil war, and people will tear it apart. Doesn't matter which side you pick. Just picking a side is enough to make yourself a target. And they're going to tear those big corporations apart. It doesn't take long. They don't have unlimited money. I think Disney's only going to last 2 years, the way that it's going. I've been watching the stock market and what's happening with them, and what happened at that investors meeting, and what they did to the fucking Star Wars property. They destroyed that fucking property. And it's because they didn't have a unified vision of it. And they didn't want the old fans. They're like, oh, we don't want the old fans. Well, that's where all your money was. They were buying all that damn merchandise. It had to be something for everybody there. And they had to... They can't be artistic anymore. They're going by what certain councils are saying based upon market research, and it just waters it down. So their product is going to fucking suck. The future is going to be these movies like I just talked about, like Hunter Prey, which is a little fucking movie made by a couple of guys. It's a fucking excellent movie, and it's for a small audience that can appreciate it. It's going to be these little independent films. That's the future. And it's going to be custom made to fulfill a certain market niche. You're not going to see these big blockbusters. And they know it. They know all that shit is technologically obsolete. That's why they pulled the plug on AMC. They're pulling their own plugs on everything because they know that that's over. There's a lot of things that the civilization is built on that is now technologically obsolete. Like things like cities. Cities aren't going to make it. Not long. The heart of a city is office buildings. What the fuck do you need an office building now anymore? The rest of the city just supported those office buildings. They're all working from home now. So it's only a matter of time, you know, the future will not look like the 1900s. It just won't. And they're panicked. They're scared. But us as little people, and if you're listening to us, then you're another one of the little people. We don't have anything to lose from that system going under. I've been analyzing it. We don't really only have things to gain. Those corporations are just not. It's not going to be a top-down Soviet style or old school American style economy anymore. It's going to be a network economy based upon who you know, what you're offering, and how quickly you can bring it to market, and how good is the quality. That's what it's going to be. That's what's happening now.
Well, Tilo was saying that, you know, there are some YouTube channels of just like people studying, and it's just like they get tons of views. And I was going to say, shit, like this morning I was watching a 5-minute video of a dude brushing a long hair cat.
Yep.
And the cat farting around and not wanting to, and trying to take the brush away.
All right, now check this out. Check this out. I have to go back in time to the mindset of an NBC television executive from the 1970s. And I would have to show him, or I have to see that situation through his eyes. An NBC television exec from the 80s to the 70s would see Jenny watching a cat video for 20 minutes, and he would lose his fucking shit. Because he's like, that's $7 million worth of airtime that she just watched.
Of somebody combing a long-haired cat.
Why, we should have been able to sell her something during that time. Those eras, that era's gone. Everyone can film things now. Everyone can learn to use technology.
Looks decent.
And it looks good.
Yeah.
You could make your own movie now for a fraction of what a Hollywood studio could.
Well, yeah. And people are.
And people are doing it. So that's
not all of them are good.
That's going away. All right. Here's another thing that's going away, and a lot of people are having a hard time wrapping their head around it. Universities. Universities are going away. Why the hell would you... You have to understand the history of what made a university. That was during the 1700s. And it was a religious parachute. You went there and you bought a ticket to go to heaven, and you learned a little bit of things. And it was almost kind of like a religious institution. It was a way of buying yourself permission to go into the higher class. Back in the day, you could go to one, get a degree in something, and get a job in one of these corporations. Well, they've outsourced all that. If you go to the university now, your chances are you're not going to get a job. Not unless maybe you were a doctor. And even in there... And hard science and math, that doesn't really make a lot of money. The guys that were really making money with those university educations were guys that were in finance, because they could go on Wall Street, go work in a fucking big bank. Yeah, they made a lot of money. Not so much science. And then if they wanted science done, they'd contact some dude in India who he didn't have the college debt, so he's not charging as much. All that shit's going away. I mean, everyone now has access to the internet, which is the sum of mankind's knowledge. And you can buy training and education over the internet.
For relatively cheaply.
For cheap. And then you can use it on your own. You don't need to work for somebody else to use it. They're going to steal your money. That's the future. If you look, I'm pointing, you're going to, look, the biggest indicator of poverty in the United States, if you look at it, has nothing to do with race. It's whether or not you have that piece of paper, whether or not you have that college degree. That was the big indicator of whether or not you were making money or not. That college degree. I never got one. I fucking walked away from college fucking at the end of my first year. I knew that shit was stupid. I also knew that shit was going away, but then I kicked myself in the ass because I lost a bunch of jobs that I could have got. I was smart enough to get them. I had the skills to do it. But because you didn't have that fucking piece of paper right there, they were kind of like, oh, fuck, you get out of here. And then they give it to a person who's dumber than me, but they do have that piece of paper. It was like entering into a club. Well, I'm glad that shit's falling apart. Jenny's got a degree, but you got that privately, right? Didn't have something to do with graphic design type degrees?
Yeah, I got a graphic design degree.
Yeah, and you know, and you can actually make money with that.
I do make money.
She makes money with that.
That is one of my 3 income streams.
I challenge you to go get a degree in underwater basket weaving and shit, sociology, and tell me if you get a job with that. Not anymore. You're just gonna have a whole bunch. My friend Jason, fucking Granthurst knows exactly who he is. I don't want to. Well, yeah, I didn't say the last name. He's like a couple $100,000 in debt, motherfuckers. He's part of academia. He's got all kinds of fucking papers published and shit like that. All of his intellectual fucking buddies love him. That dude's fucking installing cabinets. He's installing kitchen cabinets. That was just he's a smart dude, but that was a bad investment. Very bad investment. Just saying.
I mean, well, the thing about it is that, like, no one really knew. And
they didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought I was going to lose out. Nah, it's a good thing. I was going for that fucking business degree.
I'm just glad I didn't take out any loans.
I took out a loan.
I did.
All right. And I was going for a business degree in accounting. All right. And fucking as time went on, that would have Excel made all that shit obsolete. If you can run Excel, then you don't need any of that shit. They got accounting programs that are fucking better than any man.
Well, I don't know. In a way, it's like, I know how, like, it sucks for a lot of people, but I'm kind of the kind of person, and I've always been like this, is that I really hate, I guess because I'm kind of a control freak, I really hate anything that I have to do, whether it's publishing, whether it's doing the show, whether it's anything. I don't want to entrust it to someone else because they will fuck it up, or they won't do it in a timeline that I find expedient. And I don't like waiting for people. I'm really impatient. So basically, I'm just like, bitch, I would rather do everything myself and just be stressed out all the time than give my shit to someone else to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, really don't like having to, you know what I mean?
She wants to go outside.
Because, I mean, you know, he said sometimes, well, why don't you get somebody to help with the show or, like, edit the thing? And it's like, it would be cool because it would save me some time to do some other shit. But then when I think about it, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't really like, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I don't trust other people and I don't think they're going to do it right or they're not going to do it in time. It's like, and I'm going to have to keep nagging them. It's like, honestly, I like to deal with other people as little as possible. And if it's something that, you know, is something that I created, like the show or like my books or something like that, it's really, really hard for me to let go of any, because a couple times I had a couple novels published by, you know, another publishing house, like a smaller publishing house several years ago. And even though the covers they did for the novels were fine, I was really, really like annoyed because I wanted to do the layout. I wanted to do the cover. But of course they're not going to let me do it because they have their own in-house people that do it. And like I said, they were fine. They were lovely. But at the same time, I was kind of like, that's not what I would have done. You know?
Yeah.
So honestly, the two novels that I wrote a long time ago that were published by another publishing house, the rights have reverted to me at this point, so I'm going to republish them with my own layout and my own cover just because I'm fucking like that.
Graham postulates that possibly he would take all those office buildings and convert them into apartments. Yeah, that's what they said about all those dead malls. It's not really how it works because banks are involved and things like bankruptcies are involved. And they can actually find ways, because they're the ones that also write the laws, they will find ways to profit and make money off of demolishing things and tearing them down. That's like what they do with those malls. So no, they'll tear them down. They'll tear them down. It'll end up looking like Detroit, you know. A good bit of Detroit that I remembered is now gone. It's just returned to the wilderness. You'll see sidewalks and roads, but no buildings anymore. It'll look like that. It'll kind of look like a future, more like something out of one of them Tom Cruise movies where everything kind of looks like suburban. Because the things that the cities were offering no longer exist. So and there's somebody here just said, some woman says her company's making all kinds of profit because they have them all working at home now. It's not 1950 anymore. You don't need a goddamn slave driver walking around between all the desks, cracking a whip on people to get to work. Fill out that fucking 214. Fill out that, like from fucking Office Space. You don't need that anymore. The computers got rid of all that. You either do your work or you don't. If you don't do your work, they'll hire somebody else online to do it.
Yeah.
You don't need
can hire anybody in the world.
Yep. You don't need bosses. That was the thing. Go see Office Space.
Everyone's seen it, I think.
If you haven't seen that, that was the business world that I lived in, fucking coming out of the army. That shit sucked. All that stuff got exported to India. It's gone. And it was just and the middle management and the upper management, they spent most of their time worried about becoming obsolete and losing their jobs. And they did. They went obsolete.
Well, because they didn't
do anything.
do anything.
They didn't do anything. They walked around and made sure other people worked. Because
Which they would have done anyway.
They would have done it anyway. But
I mean, I would have.
That was a 1950s office culture that took a long time for it to die off, where you force a motherfucker to work,
even though they were going to do it.
They were going to work anyway, right? It's ridiculous, but that.
I mean, I've always been. This is why I was always. Well, yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like that in any shape or form. And it's kind of like, this is why all the jobs that I had, I was always really uncomfortable. I get really resentful when I have other people. This is why people don't like managers and shit. Because they don't know what your job entails. Especially, like, if you do graphic design like I do. Usually your manager or the person above the manager is somebody that doesn't know anything about the technical. They don't know how to use Photoshop. They don't know anything like that. So having somebody that doesn't know what your job is tell you what your job is very tiresome. So that was something that always kind of like got on my nerves a lot. Because they would say dumb shit. It's like, well, you just have to do this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. But thank you for your input, which was really useless, you know.
Yeah. T says she worked from home. They love it. No commuting, no micromanaging. Here's another thing, T, that I fucking like about it. You're not spending money commuting.
Yeah, because I used to spend $80 on gas.
Burning up your car, putting miles on your fucking
week.
Car, burning up fucking your gasoline to go to their fucking job, and it's shit you could have done from home. Well, this is what I was trying to tell old boy. That's a huge impact on fucking the real estate. All right? Commercial real estate's going to fucking plummet. They're going to sell all that shit off. It's not going to be worth anything. Well, guess where all that fucking commercial real estate is? Downtown. Downtown in those cities. Most of that city, its infrastructure was built to serve those fucking buildings. Now there are apartment complexes down there that people that worked in those buildings lived in, and those might stay. But over time, those people will move out into suburban areas. And then you have all the services, the electrical services, the fire departments, the police. All of that was in those cities really because of those apartment buildings. Because of those office buildings. That's the linchpin of all those cities. Well, guess what? There are whole political parties built upon high-density fucking cities. When those are gone, what's going to happen to them? They're panicked. They're fucking scared. They're very scared. I think that's why you're starting to see it's going to start to creep towards some kind of technological-based fucking... They're going to try to get authoritarian eventually. Because whenever you threaten their money, when you threaten the money of the power structure, they become authoritarian. They don't give a shit about any of that right and left shit. That right and left political dynamic, that's for poor people to think, to believe in. They don't believe in it. You go up high enough, they own both of those. So it's dangerous. You know, it's very dangerous. I'm worried. You know, I try to keep myself fucking calm because they're not very good. They're not smarter than you. When you analyze who it is, they're not very competent and they're not very smart. Most of them got into their positions by luck or because they were related to somebody. So they can't really outthink you. And you will see it coming when they do what they do. They've never really won long term. They'll make little wins, but overall, I think the people will win out. They're not going to be able to control these people. You know, I'm just wanting freedom. Freedom. That's all I care about. I do my thing, you do your thing. I don't like to be told what to do. Jenny's the same way. Jenny does not like to be told what to do.
No, I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't like telling other people what to do.
I don't want to tell other people. Why should I have to tell some other motherfucker what to do? He should know. You know what I mean? He should know what to do. But then when he's coming to fucking destroy my life or take things from me or to tell me how to live, no, I'm not about that. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You know?
Yeah, you know. I've always been
and
like that.
You're the same way.
Well, like I said, I've been like that since birth, probably.
Right. I just don't trust them. I just don't trust any of them. You don't get to a position of power and wealth by being a good person. This is something I've learned personally in my life by knowing those people in other countries, mostly Brazil. They did not get there by being good. They got there by being bad. That's why they got there. That's how they got there.
Yeah.
It's just like the animal kingdom. That they got there by the animalistic way. They ate all their competition. That's what they did.
Yeah, everybody's talking about how nice it is to work from home. I mean,
Yeah.
Xana is saying, I know not everyone can, obviously. There's, like, actually a large segment of the population that can't work from home, obviously. But I actually started working from home, not by choice, way before any of this started. I think it was July 2016, because I got laid off. And basically, I had to go on unemployment for a little while, and then it ran out. So Tom was kind of like, well, while you have some unemployment, why don't we try to beef up the podcast? Why don't you try to get some books out? Why don't you,
let's make an office here.
Get some income stream going? And then he turned this into an office, and I started doing audiobooks and stuff. It took a while. There was a scary time period there. Probably till the end of 2016, maybe into 2017. And, it was pretty scary. I didn't have a lot of money, and it kind of sucked. But after a while, it kind of worked itself out. Like I said, I have enough to pay my bills, and that's about it. But, I mean, in a lot of ways, like people are saying, it's like you don't have to commute. The job that I had before I got laid off was only about 8 miles from here, so it was only about a 15-minute drive. But still, it's like, it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass having to get up early. You gotta, fucking get dressed, put makeup on. You gotta drive somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta go, you gotta deal with fucking the public, and they suck, and it's just kind of like...
Thank you, everybody. Everybody's agreeing with me. That's right. Thank you, everybody. You know the deal. Everybody just wants to live their lives. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And that's just
I mean, as long as you're not, doing shit to, fucking encroach on other people's shit.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, right. You should be free to do whatever you want to do, but you can't deny the freedom of others. You can't go around fucking other people over and taking shit from them and shit that they worked for and, the shit that they built. You leave people fucking alone. You know what I mean? If you come for me, you're going to pay. Okay? But the thing is, I'm not coming for you. And that's just...
I'm too lazy to come for
Yeah.
anybody.
We got shit we got to do. It's not worth it.
I just want to hang out in my office and drink coffee and get my shit done.
If you're a good person, you're too busy than to fuck with other people. It's just the way it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm a very, I'm a very introverted person. Yeah. I'm always just kind of like, this is how introverted I am. It's weird because I was actually thinking about this morning. I was out on my hike this morning. I think I did a 5 mile earlier. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. And, I see a lot of the same people every morning because they all walk, I'm walking, or they're jogging or whatever. Some of them I wave to, some of them I don't, because... but it's weird because when I'm walking, I'm always kind of looking at the person ahead. I'm like, is this a person that I normally wave to? I hope not, because I don't know. It stresses me out having to fucking wave to people, because when I'm just out walking on my shit, I just want to do my shit. I have my headphones on. I have music on. I don't really want to have to think about anybody else. I would be happy if there was nobody else on the path, but I know that that's not realistic. It's not crowded or anything. Because a lot of people do live around here. It's just very suburban. And a lot of people walk their dogs and ride their bikes and shit. But I don't know. I always kind of think about it. It's like every time I see a person, I'm like, I get anxiety for a second. Do I have to wave to this person? Fuck.
Now, it's nothing but friendly people out there anyway.
I know. They're all nice. Yeah. And a lot of them actually are cool. Although there's this one weirdo that is out. I haven't seen him for a while. But, one, he always walks on the wrong side. Because you know how in the path, it's everybody just kind of does you would do if you were driving a car. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're on the same side of the road. All the signs are pointing the same side as if you were driving a car. So you're doing that. And he's always jogging or walking on the wrong side. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, so I just call him always on the wrong side of the road guy. And so, I'll be walking and I'm just like, oh, fuck, here's this asshole again. And because he's coming up this way. And then he does the same thing every time. He goes like this. He'll be jogging or walking, and he'll be on the wrong side, and then he'll look and he'll see somebody coming, like me or whatever, and then he'll go like this. He'll go, and then he walks over to the other side, and I'm like, why do you not just be on the right side to start? Why are you?
Because he wants you to look at him.
And then one morning, and I've seen him talking to some people too, because one morning, because normally I wear sunglasses because I'm a fucking vampire. And I can't stand the sun in my fucking face at 7 o'clock in the morning. One morning it was dark because it was real cloudy, so I didn't have sunglasses on. And I don't have makeup on when I'm going out, so I don't have any eyebrows. So that's a little weird too. So maybe I'm a little weird looking because I don't have eyebrows. But so I'm out there and I'm just like walking, minding my own fucking business. And then this dude is like, he's walking this way and then he's like, oh shit, I gotta go to the other side. I'm like, yeah, do that. So then he goes over there and then he's like talking to me. He's like gesturing. And I'm just like, fuck me. What do you want? Where are your sunglasses? I'm like, it's dark out.
Yeah.
And then I just kept walking. So he didn't talk to me anymore because he probably thinks I'm a douche and I don't really care. I saw him like talking to there was like a little Muslim girl like walking. I see her all the time too. And he was like talking to her. I saw it like way up there. And he's like started talking to her and I could see her kind of like backing away.
Like, get the fuck away, yeah.
Like this. And I was just kind of like, oh man, I need to get up there and save that girl because maybe he's being obnoxious. Because I didn't know what he was saying. I couldn't hear him. And but he had moved on by the time I got up there. But I could see her body language. She was just kind of like, and I was kind of like, yeah, I know. I don't think he's like a murderer or anything, but he's for sure weird. I don't know. He's got like a weird thing. And I don't understand this always wanting to be on the wrong side of the road. There's been like a couple of guys that do that. And I'm not entirely sure. I'm like, do you just enjoy being a pain in my ass or a pain in everyone's ass? Is that you just kind of
trying to get attention?
It's like a little power game, or I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Zach, I think we're gonna win. I mean, think about it. There aren't very many corporations making products. All right, they're trying to market them. Like for instance, like Disney, they don't have that many products, and they're trying to market them to a large number of people. Just off of one platform, Disney Plus. That's not a very good business model. How the hell are they going to compete against millions and millions of other people, small creators, that almost hour for hour can compete with them? And their overheads are huge, all right? I mean, it costs them millions and millions of dollars to make an episode out of one of these damn series. All the while, they have to float the overheads, not only from these movie projects, but these hotels and these parks. And those hotels and the parks that they have evidently aren't doing too well. And you would think, well, Disney's not going anywhere. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry. A couple $1 billion is nothing to them. That's their overheads, You only have to fucking hurt them by 20%. And they wouldn't be able to make their overheads. They'd have to start doing things like closing parks or closing hotels. And very quickly, shit like that can unravel. They got very high overheads. Corporations are not safe. You know what I mean? Just because it has a lot of money doesn't mean that it will be here forever. I mean, I'm old enough to have seen things just fucking vanish that I thought would never vanish. AMC being one of them. Other ones, shit like Enron. And not only did it vanished in disgrace. There's a lot. Sears is gone. I never would have imagined Sears being gone fucking 20, 30 years ago as a kid. That just seemed like that was just rock solid. Sears been around for 100 years. Sears will always be here. No, Sears went broke. Sears went broke and it looked like shit on its way out. Fucking crummy ass stores. No. Nothing's permanent. The center does not hold. Things fall apart.
Sophie's saying maybe he's from another country where they drive.
They drive on it.
Well, see, I thought that too.
Yeah.
That was actually the first thing I thought. And some people I'm willing to give them a pass because I feel like, maybe they're from, the UK or, somewhere where they drive on the other side. Okay, fair enough. Or maybe they have a reason for it. But I don't know. This guy, he did talk to me one time and he sounds like an American. So I don't know. I think he's just a weirdo. He has like a lot of weird. And I think it was this morning or yesterday morning when he was talking to that Muslim girl, and I was just kind of like, I was too far away. Like I saw them up there, and I was just kind of like, maybe I should go help her because she really looks like she's like, dude, fuck the fuck
off. It's just too much damn bell time. No, dude, you're tripping. Fucking fourth drawer down. Also brought up Pan Am. Pan Am was another one I thought would never disappear. Fucking.
My grandfather used to work for Pan Am a long time ago.
These companies don't last. Some of them just. All those, the industries that damn ran the United States through most of the first half of the 1900s was the railroads. Actually, the late 1800s too. And now they're a shadow of them for themselves.
Well,
when the last time you ever worried about the damn railroad?
I mean, industries come and go.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Takes
though.
a long time.
It's usually,
A railroad back in the day could make or break you. They could just stop. They could just, if you pissed them off, they wouldn't stop at your town, and that would starve your entire town.
There goes all your food.
There goes all your food. There goes all your money and all your jobs. If you pissed them off, they just wouldn't stop at your town.
Not really the case anymore.
Yeah. Well, the internet, these internet platforms like Facebook tries to do that. Oh, well, we're not going to fucking let you post anymore. None of that shit's going to work in a couple of years because they're going to make a bunch of other platforms.
Well, like I said, the thing about it, though, is that that's not really an exact equivalence because everybody needs food. Well,
right.
Nobody needs to post on Facebook.
No. But it's just a flow of information.
Yeah, sure.
Flow of information. That's what I'm talking about. No, the railroads were far more powerful.
Yeah.
They could make your town vanish in a few months.
Yeah, exactly. And they did.
Literally, they did it.
I mean, they did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if Facebook was like, yeah, you can't post on here, that's not really a tragedy because, like, oh, I can't, like, fucking cry on Facebook anymore. Yep. Go start a blog. You can do other shit.
That's not what I was referring to, though.
No, I'm just saying that it's, like, not really the same.
What I was referring to was the fight that Australia had with do you know about the Australia and Facebook?
A little bit. I can pee, though.
That's what I was talking about.
Here, talk about
Australia wouldn't allow Australia wanted Facebook to pay them for the news that had been posted on there. Facebook said no. So, and then Facebook shut off the Australian news. But eventually, fucking Australia buckled to them, which that's like something the railroad would have done. Gee, we're talking about malls. Yeah, malls are another dying art. Why the hell would you want to pay retail for little trinkets that are fucking totally way overpriced and it's bullshit you don't need anyway? You know, it might have been something you thought you needed back in the 80s or the 90s, but you don't need anything that they're selling in there now. And fucking, you can go online and find a better selection of clothes, the exact fucking garment that you want, delivered to your door for a fraction of that price, fraction of the cost. So that's the end of the... Mississippi used to be the towns where all these little crossroads where they had a little gas station and maybe they had a little corner store and then they had like a little general type store where you could buy some tough skins. All that shit's gone now. You know? Fucking internet fucking killed all that shit. Amazon. Doesn't matter where you are now. You could be out in fucking Ellisville, Mississippi with fucking population 500. And you can get the baddest ass fucking jacket like something that you bought in downtown New York. You could buy it and you're just right there in the middle of Ellisville with that shit. It's just not the same world as it was. You can be anywhere at any time and get anything from anywhere at any time. That's just mind-blowing to me, you know, the more I think about it. It happens slowly. I told a story when it first started, but now it's a fully developed fucking force of nature in this society. If you're young, you don't understand how that impacted things and how much a difference that made in people's lives. I mean, now you could be from a little tiny nothing town and still look pretty cool because you're wearing the same clothes that somebody in some club down in New York could get. Back in the day, a person living in that town, like I said, was wearing some fucking tough skins and some fucking cheap-ass fucking sneakers, just whatever they had locally. And of course, you know, there's no selection locally back in those little towns. So you look like a fucking podunk.
Yeah.
You just did. You had no choice. It was like a Soviet-style fucking economy. You could only buy what was in the damn local store, and there was no selection.
Back in the day, I used to have to order band T-shirts from a company called Burning Airlines in New Jersey.
Yeah, and it might take 2 weeks.
That was the only place that I could get cool-ass T-shirts. Yeah. Like all my Bauhaus shirts, all that kind of Alien Sex Fiend, all that kind of shit. I got those back in the fucking 80s.
And if you...
From there.
And if you didn't live in a cool area and you were buying local clothes, you looked like a fucking dork.
Well, yeah.
You look like a fucking dork.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a fucking conspiracy.
They wanted all the people in the small towns to look like dorks.
Fucking dorks. Supply and demand. Well, there was no fucking choice to anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You went to the fucking J.C. Penney's. There's not much choice at J.C. Penney's. Yeah, your age group, and fucking being a guy, you can have something off of this rack and this rack and this rack. The rest of this shit for old ladies and fucking old people. And
I
shit.
kind of feel like
And you're
J.C.
looking at it
Penney was
like,
pretty
what
much
the
all
fuck?
for old ladies.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
But I'm thinking,
maybe not.
I'm thinking of terms and fucking trying to take you back to 81.
Yeah.
To
I know.
83.
I remember.
In those little fucking towns, the way that shit was.
I remember.
Yeah. It was hell.
Even in
hell.
Relatively larger town like
it was
Daytona Beach,
hell.
where I grew up,
Yeah.
it was really, really hard
Yeah.
to find anything. Although I will note that we did have Judy's Jazzy Boutique, which those two, it was a mother and daughter, and they had all the stripper clothes. They had a whole room of sex toys. They had all the rock stars from Central Florida would come to Daytona and shop there. It was in like the worst area of town where all the hookers and drug addicts hung out, but it was a cool ass place. And shit, man, if you were gonna go there, you better spend all day, because they would talk to you. Like Judy and her mom Norma would talk to you all fucking day long, and they would tell you about Jen from the Genitorturers and the last time she'd been in there, because they were friends of hers. And it's just like they would tell you all the people that had come in there. It was really fun. I miss those days. I'm sure that they're probably dead by now because they were old back then. But that was kind of the only cool... We had a couple cool places in Daytona. We had Judy's Jazzy Boutique. We had Mandala, which was a used bookstore run by old hippies, which was really awesome. I used to go there all the time. And for a little while, we had a place called Criminal Records. This is way back in the late 80s, early 90s, which was a used record store, and it was run by a dude that actually went to my high school. And he had just graduated, or had graduated a year or two before me, and he opened up a record store. And that was where I went to get like all the... It was tiny, but they had like really, really cool shit. We had Atlantic Sounds too. That was like a much bigger like indie record store. That might be still there, I'm not sure.
Pat's asking if he's being blocked. I think there's automatic censorship on the Facebook comments. If you fucking...
I crashed.
If you curse, it fucking probably goes away. Or it probably fucking deletes your comment.
I don't know.
It looks... Now, I see...
Is it still going on your end?
It looks... Yeah, it's still going.
Okay, it's not going on
You guys
my
can
end.
still hear us, right?
I mean, my chat stopped a long time ago.
Maybe we can go ahead and shut the show down then, maybe. If we have more problems.
Yeah, I mean... Oh, shit. Well... Is it going?
They can hear us. Okay, guys, they can hear us, but it fucking looks like we're starting to have some serious problems here.
Yeah, my shit froze up again.
And it might be time to go ahead and shut the show down. We'll see you guys in when are we next streaming?
Saturday.
We're going to be streaming Saturdays. We'll see you guys then.
Yeah. Sorry we had to cut it short, but...
We're having technical problems.
We're having some technical problems. I guess you guys can still see us.
Yeah,
so
they can
thankfully...
hear us. Just go ahead and shut it down.
All right, so we've been going for a couple hours.